a stream again from my crappy hotel room because the lighting's really awful and the walls are ugly and stuff. But some wild stuff happened tonight on my way home. Actually, it's so bright, I don't even like it. Where are my sunglasses? I don't like to wear them when I do streams because people have complained. I don't like it when I don't trust people that wear glasses during but, you know, I don't really care that much, I guess. So, so I'm leaving the, first of all, the reason I'm late, I want to mention, is that Athena, who you know as first Illuminastic Mind and then Illuminastic Life because they deleted the other channel, I didn't know she was doing this, but she did a trip report of her ayahuasca experience with me in the jungle. It was just the two of us. Because I wasn't doing retreats. She just was in town and she's like, you know, I want to try that. And I was like, all right, well, come on over. And she didn't really have any money at the time. So I think she paid like 15 bucks or something. And for a room and the ceremony. And trust me, she has more than repaid me for that generosity. And now I understand why. After watching this trip report, I really understand why she was so profoundly affected. She never told me. Like we talked a few times over the year or two since this happened, and you know, but I had no idea how. Also, I was blown away by how brilliant and articulate and insightful she is. So she's turned out to be a very good ally and a very committed ally. And now that I've heard what was actually happening during this ayahuasca experience, I totally get it. So that was great to hear, man. It was really nice to hear how positive of an experience and how transformational it was. But then, so tonight, after I left from doing the last stream, man, YouTube's not going to notify anybody about this because I already streamed once today, which is a shame because this is a great story. So remember how I told you guys that I was walking on the street the other day and I saw this little Venezuelan girl getting roughhoused by some face tattooed dude that I just assumed was her boyfriend? And I was like, I stood there for a minute and looked around like waiting for somebody else to do something because I already had been through hell and I really didn't want to get in the middle of some bullshit. But nobody did anything, and even the cops, you know? So I just went over and kind of got in his face like, dude, you need to back the fuck up, you know? And he looked shocked, and then he just left. And I was like, what? And I looked at the girl, and her face was like, her jaw was hanging open, and she's just like, what the fuck, really? And, you know, he's bigger than me, too. Way scarier. So I was, you know, I was just kind of shocked. And so she asked for my WhatsApp number, and she asked me what I was doing here, and I told her I was a YouTuber, so she asked for my links. And then I said, so is that, you know, he's your novia, or what is that? And she's like, no, it's mi jefe. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, shit. This isn't good. This isn't good. And see, the girls in Peru are, you can, you know, they're on the internet and they're in clubs. In fact, I found that out accidentally because I was with a friend, we got in a taxi, and my friend was single, you know, and the taxi driver's like, oh, you want to go to a club where there's some girls? And I was like, yeah, he probably does. I wasn't single, but, and so he took us to this like bordello. We were so embarrassed, you know, these two white guys, never been in a whorehouse before, just like terrified out of our minds. And so, anyways, that's how I found out prostitution was legal in Ecuador, Peru, everywhere. And so anyways, oh, you're here. Well, you would have loved to hear the nice things I just said about you, so you should watch this from the beginning again. I can't believe how small the audience is. I guess it's just late on a Sunday. I hope people watch this at some point. What was I saying though? Okay, so the Venezuelan accent and stuff, it's terrible. Like I can't understand anything. It's so fast and so chunky, like it's terrible, you know? And, so, you know, I managed to get through this conversation with her just like a few minutes, you know, and then I left. And a couple hours later, I got a picture of my front door and the hostel I was in from her jefe. This is the jefe, blah, 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 you know? And I was like, shit. So I had to move. And even then, I didn't know if it was going to if I was going to be safe. Really. But then I realized, you know, the guy he didn't stand up to me, nothing. Like, he's just a punk-ass pimp, you know? And So I didn't hear anything else. I wasn't really worried about it. But then I just did the stream earlier, and as I was leaving the restaurant, my phone rings, and I answer the phone, and I hear this thick Venezuelan accent, and it's a girl, and I know immediately who it is. And I'm like, damn, what is this? What kind of shit is about to pop off now, you know? So I knew she didn't speak a word of English. Um, and I kept having to ask her, you know, you got hablas más despacio, you got to slow the fuck down. I can't understand you, you know? And so um, what she was saying eventually is that because of the way he acted, and I guess the way he acted later, what actually happened is he was watching from around the corner, and he saw her putting my information in her phone, so he knew it was there. So he took her back and intimidated her into giving it to him. But I guess she picked up on some things, like how he just came to my door and took a picture to scare me and then didn't do shit. And she basically said, you know, she had a friend that spoke English, and so she just caught my stream, and she heard me say that I thought she was the one that gave my information to her jefe, and that she had done that. And she said, no, 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 he took my phone when he was watching us, and he took my phone. I hated that you thought that, because it was so nice what you did. In fact, I realized that he's a coward, and I've been terrified of him for 2 years since I came from Venezuela. And she sent me some pictures of her when she first got here. Um, and she was so like innocent looking and adorable, and she's still really attractive, but you can tell she's been hardened hard. I mean, it's crazy what 2 years can do to a person under that kind of lifestyle condition. And so she said, I realized that I don't have to be afraid of him because he's a coward, and I'm leaving tonight. He's gone, so I'm leaving. And I wanted to see if you wanted me to come to your hospadaje and like, you know, reward you basically or say thank you. And I was like, no, 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 no puede hacer sexo con tú. No, 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 no es incorrecto, no es correcto. Like, can't do that. It's not a good idea. Huge risk. Not happening. But thank you, and I hope you're serious. You know, I hope you really get away. You know, because I could see, you know, it's weird. Like, she had that like hardened street vibe, but then she like giggled like a little girl at one point, and it was like so adorable and pure, and I could see the conflict. You know, there was like this hardened, abused sex trafficking victim, like swirled in there with this like sweet, innocent girl, you know. And that's crazy if it's true. You know, who knows? It literally could have been a setup to try to get me to let her come by or something so her jefe could find me and get revenge. But I don't think so, man. It sounded like it was pretty sincere, and I hope she follows through. So that was a really nice thing to hear, that there may have been a positive outcome from that interaction, because for a minute there, you know, it was just like one last thing, one more thing I really didn't need, you know. And I mean, look at my eyes. I've had enough this week. So, and then interestingly, somebody read my story about P. Diddy and was saying, oh yeah, he was already a big producer by then, basically saying I was making it up. A bunch of stuff that connects to my story actually broke in the media today. So that's a little bit weird that I put the stuff out there before the media did if I'm making it up. So in case that guy's watching, probably ought to go check out TMZ or whatever, and you'll realize that I told you before they did. So there's that. Don't want to gloat too much, but I hate when people accuse me of stuff like that. You know, I'm sorry your life isn't as exciting. Don't have to get mad at me though. You know what I mean? God, it's bright in here. I really don't like it. So then check this out though. This is almost crazier. So I'm walking and I'm talking to this girl, and it's taking forever because her accent to me just sounds like brr, 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 brr. I think she's nervous. So she's like, she can't remember to hablas más despacio, you know? So it took forever, and I'm not paying attention to where I'm going. So I'm wandering down the street, and then I start looking around, and I realize, like, uh-oh, there's no one around. Things look like shit. Like, I better get off the phone and figure out what the fuck is going on, because, you know, I've just made this stream where I'm saying, like, I don't want you guys to think that because of these stories, Cusco is dangerous. The only reason I ran into that girl in the first place is because I got all my money stolen, so I had to go to a cheaper hostel, and so I was in kind of a bad neighborhood relative to where I was before. So that's why that other encounter took place. And so I'm walking, and I realize, like, this isn't good. So I put it in Google Maps, like, you know, my hostel, and it just gives me all these crazy lines. It didn't make any sense. Like it didn't know where it was or something. So I'm like, oh shit. And I'm thinking like, what do I do now? And this big ass dog with blood on its face, cute as hell, but it had like a hole from fighting with another dog, obviously a street dog, just like pulls up beside me, and was like, what the hell, you know? And I reached out to pet it and tentatively, you know, and it didn't want me to do that, so I was not sure what was happening. So the dog walks up ahead a little bit, but then it stops and looks back at me, and I'm like, what? And it just waits, and I'm like, okay. So I walk up, start following the dog, and the second time I reached out to touch it, well, that's good. I love that movie. That's where that stupid ass adrenochrome rumor comes from too. If you took adrenochrome, it would be like having a schizophrenic panic attack. It's not anything anyone would do on purpose. Like literally no one would do it on purpose. You can order it from China for like $8 a liter. And if it was a fun drug, don't you, and it kept you alive for centuries, don't you think everyone would take it? It's not even illegal. I mean, it's just so stupid. It's the stupidest conspiracy theory. All you got to do is think like 2 steps through you know what I mean? And it just disintegrates. It's so stupid. So fucking stupid. Especially considering there are micrograms of adrenochrome, maybe, in an adrenal gland. So you need like several tractor trailers full of babies for a single dose. It's so stupid. You could just order it from China cheap because no one wants it. That's why it's so cheap. No one wants it. God damn, man, people just do a little bit of actual research, you know what I mean? Pull up the NCBI, look at the compound. Sorry, didn't mean to go off on that rant. So this dog is like just walking ahead of me, and it keeps stopping and looking back. And I was like, there's no way, man. There's no way this dog is leading me home. There's no fucking way that's actually happening right now. And the second time I reached out to pet it, while it wasn't looking, I petted it, and then instead of reaching around to bite me, it started bounding around like a rabbit all happy. It was pretty big, you know, which was good, because it turns out that I had walked into a Pueblo de Basura, a crack neighborhood, and it did not look good. And there were sketchy looking people walking right at me, and that dog stiffened up and growled. I was like, what? Really? Like protecting me for like it sensed that I was lost and in a bad neighborhood. And I had just gotten this huge, big, good karma call, you know, and I was like, man, this can't be happening. And so I keep going, and every time anyone approaches me, the dog kind of just walks in their direction and stiffens up. So they just change their mind. You know? It was a pretty big dog, man. And so we keep walking, and we get to this bridge. And the dog hops up and puts its feet on the bridge and looks almost like it's pointing, and then it looks at me, and then it looks back out there. And I reset my Google Maps, and it shows that the hostel, it's not by the streets, but it's straight in the direction this dog is looking. And it seemed like I was thought, is it looking at me because it's like, do you want to try to go down there and take a shortcut, or do you want to try to go this way? So I was like, this is just getting too crazy. And so the dog, like, you know, kept pulling ahead, but it would wait. If it got too far ahead, it would stop and look back, make sure I was still there, and keep going. And so it brought me back to the town square where there were plenty of people and cops and tourists and everything. And I turned around, he was fucking gone. He didn't bring me home, but he brought me back to like safety, and then just disappeared. True fucking story. This was like 45 minutes ago. So after all that happened, you know, I just thought, like, I can't sleep and I'm not really in the mood to work, so I should just pop on and tell the story to the peoples out there. I also thought it was pretty hilarious that stuff that pretty obviously ties into my P. Diddy story the other day just broke in the mainstream media about him being a rat. It turns out that the reason I couldn't find any information about his drug bust is that him and Beyonce are apparently federal informants. I think it was Beyonce. It might have been some other girl at the time. I'm pretty sure it was Beyonce, though. She got in a bunch of trouble. Or no, not Beyonce. What is that girl? She's Jennifer Lopez. I think it was J-Lo that was involved in this. So, yeah, that was hilarious to find out when I got home. So by the way, if you guys have any, also you guys should click on Illuminastic Life and go watch her trip report of the ayahuasca. It was really great. She did a great job of explaining it very clearly. And so I think she was a little bit nervous. She's new to streaming. So in the beginning, you know, takes her a minute to get going, but once she does, it's a really good trip report. And it was really inspiring to me to realize, because I didn't know, you know, I didn't know that it was that impactful until I listened to her stream tonight, and that's why I was late, because I didn't want to. I was intrigued, you know, listening. So I'm definitely going to invite her on to do it live with me. Um, because there was a lot, she was kind of like, you know, I don't know what he was doing or thinking, and I think like it might be more interesting if um, I could explain what I was doing, you know, because she didn't have a language for some of the tools that I had, and like, you know what I mean? So I think it'd be cool if we do the trip report as like a go live together thing. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, I mean, the dog thing and the thing with the sex worker, I don't even want to call her that, you know, it's a good girl. um, Black dogs? No, it was a white. I've never seen anything like it before. It was white, black, and like brown. Really pretty, man. A beautiful dog, and obviously really, really special. You know, I would have wanted to keep him. Really, you know. During one of my streams, you saw a UFO. Yeah, I'll tell you a wild story actually about a UFO. So the guy that helped me out recently to get all this immigration stuff, that I ended up getting robbed and not able to complete that. The one night I hung out with him in Northern California, two things happened. The first thing was that I was driving to town with my girlfriend, and let me see if I can get this glare to go away with a filter or something. Not really, huh? Oh, they take a minute to load. I see. Is that better? Black and white? I don't know. Well, these are terrible, huh? There we go. How about that? That's a little bit more interesting. Oh my gosh. We in the club. All right, there you go. That's my style, right? I can't believe, look, we lost like most of everyone. It's such a good story tonight, man. I quit, man. I'm done with the fucking internet. Goodbye, everyone, for good. So what was I about to talk about? Oh, yeah. So this, my friend that I didn't know I had, really, we were driving first to go to his house, and it wasn't dark yet. It was like 4 o'clock. And I was with my girlfriend, and we saw this blue streak come down out of the sky and end in a perfect circle with a little mushroom cloud. And it was obviously, you know, like a laser or something from outer space. And it didn't quite touch the ground, but other people from Ukiah, which burned to the ground that night, with like unnaturally hot fires, like cars were melted, and like I'm sure you guys, some of you remember this, right? Really unnaturally hot fires. Yeah, and other people saw that blue streak, I guess. So, and I guess there were 3 of them, and I just saw the one. Oh, you're from Lakeport? Yeah, dude. I saw that blue fucking streak, like Lucifer falling from heaven. It was insane. It wasn't even dark, and it was bright as hell. So, we kept going. By the way, you guys, all of these marathon streams are part of my robbery, what was I calling it? Illuminatics Robbery Recovery Fund. So, you know, please consider support in some kind of way or fashion, because shit's gotten thick all of a sudden. But so we keep going to Robert's house, and we get there, and this girl, by the way, that was with me is the one that has been stalking me for 7 years, that will occasionally pop up in the chat with creepy names like, it's me. It's me, get it? Oh my God. Anyways, so we go to dude's house, and his kids are there, my girlfriend's kids are there, kid is there. We set up lawn chairs, and there's supposed to be a meteor shower. So we're sitting there waiting for the meteors, and there's nothing. And then all of a sudden we see these 3 equilateral triangles fucking fly across the horizon with, you know, if you think about how far away they were, the flames coming out of the back of them must have been like 400 feet long. Like, it was the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. In fact, it was so insane that even though we're all like way outside of normal society, we didn't even talk about it. When it happened, I think my friend said, "What the fuck is that?" And nobody said a word. We just sat there and watched it, and then when it was gone, nobody said shit. We didn't, you know, you would expect everyone would be like going crazy, like, what is that crazy shit we just saw? And nobody said anything. I think we were that freaked out by it that, you know, we didn't even want to talk about it. And all the times, I've only talked to him a few times over the years, but when I brought it up, I was like, "You do remember that, right?" And he still didn't seem to want to talk about it. He did remember it, of course, but yeah, it's just funny that you mentioned that, you know. So what do you guys think? Is the psychedelic filter annoying, or does it add something? Is it groovy? There's a bunch of them, actually. It's not as cool as TikTok, though. TikTok has, like, all sorts of... Oh, there you go. So now I'm, like, in an old Western. Or... what else we got? Whoa. That's fucking sick. So, you know, if you guys want me to keep going with this, I feel like I'm not going to be able to go to sleep anytime soon. So, take on me, I'll be gone, dude. It's the video from that song, right? Isn't this the reference? Take on me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but it made me feel a lot better to think, like, you know, if that girl wasn't trying to set me up, that, you know, I might have, like, sent her on a different trajectory by punking out her pimp. I mean, it's, you know, it's great. That was the case. I couldn't help but like her despite, you know, the fact that, I mean, I've known prostitutes when I was younger, you know, and I lived in D.C. I was horrified to discover that a lot of my teenage friends that were girls were escorts and hookers. And, you know, there were cell phones back then. They weren't very common, but people like drug dealers and prostitutes had them. And they still do this. But they constantly call them, constantly, like every 10 minutes or something. "Where you at, bitch? What you doing, bitch? You got my money, bitch? What you doing, bitch? What you doing, bitch? I bet nobody ever called you a bitch this many times, have they, bitch? In this short of an amount of time, right, bitch? Ho? What the fuck you doing, ho? You coming home soon, ho? You getting my money, ho?" Like, just constant stream like that. And eventually it just wears them down, and just, I think, being treated badly and stuff, like, eventually they usually become so foul as people that they're worse than any other type of criminal. They're more dangerous, they're more thieving, they're more manipulative, they're more underhanded. They're, you know, that's why people think that men look down on whores because, you know, and I'm using that word to imply the derogatory sense. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? That connotation. It's not just because they have sex with random men for money. It's because of what they become, you know. And it's a sad thing. They just become vicious, you know. So if it's possible that, you know, I broke the spell that pimp had on this girl by punking him. And so she just was like, "Wait a minute. He's not this terrifying fucking thing that I thought he was. He's a fucking little bitch, you know." That's what she said. And so she's like, "I'm not scared of him anymore. I'm out of here." So that was sweet. I just hope it's true. You know, I have no way to check, I guess. And the thing with the dog was pretty incredible too. I mean, it for no reason. Like, it just brought me to where I needed to go, and it stopped and waited for me. You know, because a couple times I just stopped to, like, think, you know, like, where is this even the right way to go? Maps is making no sense. Doesn't look good around here, you know. And the dog would stop and wait, You know what I mean? I didn't feed it. I never seen it before. Like, and as soon as I realized, the second I realized that I had fucked up and wandered into some like weird part of town while I wasn't paying attention, that dog was there, like saddled up beside me out of nowhere, literally growling at people that got too close. It's just wild. Honestly, it's one of the reasons I believe that girl actually is leaving the pimp. Because it was almost like the universe was saying, like, you did this good service, and so now here's this dog to fucking help you through this little mess that you're in now. So hopefully that'll continue, because sure to have a lot to shovel all of a sudden. But all right, guys, come on. Don't we have any topics, any subjects that anyone is interested in that I can? I mean, I'm gonna have to try to go to bed if nobody wants to talk to me about anything, because I don't really, that was my story for the stream. Oh, the bubbles are kind of nice. Boop, boop. So, all right, going once, going twice. Is this gonna be any thoughts on Carlos Castaneda? Yeah, kinda. I mean, he said he was lying about the whole story. And what people don't realize is that there were already anthropological records of the Yaqui and a lot of other, you know, shamans and that sort of thing, going back to Sir Walter Raleigh in the mid-1700s. And he said none of it ever happened, and that he had made it all up. And the thing about that is that a lot of kids had started drinking Jimson weed because of those books, and I think that he felt bad about that. He felt responsible, and he may have been lying about having been lying because he wanted the kids to stop drinking to deter and dying all the time. So, or going crazy and getting arrested. I mean, and not that many of them died, I don't think. Mostly they just ended up in the hospital because they were losing their minds, because it causes true hallucinations. And it does, believe me. Like, believe me. There's, when I first heard that term, I thought they meant like kind of, realistic. No, dude. It's literally, when I drank all that Brummana, because I split up with my partner, and it might seem extreme, but you guys got to remember that she was the only person. I wasn't close to any family member. She was the only person that I had ever been close to, really. So it was a pretty awful blow. But yeah, instead of killing me, it even though it was like 4 times the lethal dose, I just had like indistinguishable from reality. I knew it wasn't real because I was laying in bed. Luckily, I stayed in bed. But I was laying in bed and I found like there was change in the bed that I knew was actually there, and I would try to pick it up and it would just fall through my hands. So I knew that wasn't right. I had that much presence of mind to know that wasn't right. And then sometimes my partner would be there, and I also knew that wasn't right because I knew she wasn't around. And when she tried to hand me the money, it would I would almost be able to hold on to it, which was symbolic of the fact that life was a little bit easier when she was still around. Because she could help me, so it was a little bit easier to stay ahead because I had less tasks. I had somebody doing a few of them. And so the symbolism is really easy to understand. But one of the weirdest things is that there was a guy, and this is what shamans use it for dream sort of precognitions. But that happened. At one point I was looking at the wall, and I could see this, what I knew was a thumbnail that was like this ancient Egyptian scene. You guys can find it on my channel. And there was a guy with like a pointer stick, like a professor, and he was like, this symbol means this and this means that, and he was explaining all the stuff. And the next day, that my AI program generated that thumbnail that was on my wall in the weird Brummana trip. Clax? I don't know what that means. Bill Clax? I've never heard of him, if it's a person. So, it really is true hallucinations. I mean, it looked exactly like real life, so I couldn't tell the difference. I think part of the night, because I wasn't that tired when I woke up the next day, which is incredible considering that it should have been like, I should have been at least hospitalized. especially considering that I'd been drinking as well. Not deliberately though. That was a messed up night, you know, because I was super hurt and depressed, and I didn't deliberately start drinking, but there was a miscommunication at a Chicha place, because I don't think they even spoke Spanish very well. I don't know. I think they were Tare or something, indigenous people, and I don't know if they misunderstood me because of language barrier or what, but I asked them if there was alcohol in it, and I had a completely empty stomach, and they were huge, huge glasses. I knew it was fermented, but I didn't know what I'd got myself into, and so, yeah, that could have been the end of me, really, that night. So, but that was what, you know, the next day when I realized, like, I saw the pot on the stove and counted 40 flowers, and 10 is a lethal dose for someone my size. So apparently I'd had enough. And so anyways, that's why I completely quit drinking. It's not, I wasn't an alcoholic. I hate alcohol. I mean, I was just so destroyed by what happened that I think the combination of accidentally getting almost blackout drunk in the depression, I almost did something I wouldn't have done with a straight head, you know, that had incurable consequences. So that's why I was like, no more alcohol at all. And why, you know, I don't like it. Like, I had one beer since then under, you know, some duress from someone, and I hated it, you know, just feeling like a little bit more tired, and I could feel how toxic it was and stuff, and, you know, so it's like, no, not even, nothing. You don't need that. It's not helpful. So, you know, and obviously it can lead to really bad decisions. I don't think it matters who you are. You know what I mean? It's just really unpredictable after a certain point. So, best to just avoid, I would say. That's my plan anyways. No alcohol. Absolutamente nada. Pero es inteligente. Es muy inteligente. Beber nada. Tomar nada. All right, any other questions or topics? Going once, going twice. Don't forget to consider supporting me. I didn't put the links in the description again. I don't know what's wrong with me. Marathon streams, trying to raise money for my robbery recovery fund, and I keep forgetting to put the stupid addresses in the... What do you guys think? Are you hating the lights? Should I get rid of them? I kind of like that. Does anyone know why I can't type in my chat? Like, I don't believe that that's supposed to be how it is. That does not track. All right. No, Bill Hicks, is that who you're saying? Bill Hicks? What about Bill Hicks? Thoughts on Bill Hicks? I mean, it's not really like, what am I gonna say? He was terribly annoying, but he had a really good message. You know, I thought he really overdid it with his facial expressions and stuff to the point where he just kind of really got on my nerves. But of course I support the message. Nothing else, you guys? Nothing for the AMA tonight? Hey, somebody disliked, they took their like away. It's too bad. That's mean. All right, so really we got nothing. Should I click the end stream thing? Where is it even? I can't believe I just discovered these filters. It's pretty wild. I also can't believe we're in the shorts feed with only 9 viewers. We had 2,500 in the first hour on the last stream, and now there's 9 people. I think it's because if you've already streamed once, the algorithm doesn't push it out much. Which is too bad, because this was a better story than the one earlier. Thank you for hitting the like button. Whoever disliked it was a dick. Not even a dick. Dicks are fine. He's a dildo, which is much more useless than an actual dick. Let's see. What could I rant about? I'm just still, I'm going to be up forever. I should have thought this through more, I guess, but I feel like I'm going to be awake for a while, just like laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, worrying about shit. That's not fun. Better to talk, keep my mind occupied. But you guys aren't helping. Where you at, Illuminostic Life? Whenever I get stuck, you always help me with topics and shit. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's light stream, light and dark stream. Oh, no, they didn't. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, and consider supporting, because it needs to happen. Or else I might have to go out and rob some armored trucks with my window down and my finger up. Oh, there you go. If you had one less day on Earth, what would you do? No limitations. All right, that's not the kind of question I meant, man, because what if it involved you? Like, what? I'm just kidding. Really put me on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot, too. What would I do? I don't know. Could I bring people back from the dead, too? Or is it like only like things that are real? Because the thing that I would like to do the most out of anything in the world would probably be to jam with the Grateful Dead at a peak show, to sit in with the dead. But if it's only like one day left on Earth, oh, no limits. Yeah, well, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. If it was something that I only could do that is available for real, I would get a Lamborghini Diablo and one of these like maximum Riz Latina girls here and drive up and down the coast of Northern California at a few hundred miles an hour. And then go to one of those hot tubs and like I used to rent these like $1,000 a night cabins on the top of the cliff, and I knew like there were these private trails that would go down to these beaches that only the people that own land there are supposed to go to, but if you know where they are, you could go down, and they're so incredible. I mean, it was so mind-blowing to sit there on acid. And then the best combination in the world, especially if you have a female friend around, is LSD and MDMA and a nice hot tub. And these cabins, literally the hot tub was like right on the edge of the cliff. So I would probably fill the hot tub with with these Latinas and maybe a couple of Asians, and then yeah, and LSD and MDMA. I mean, if you want a totally honest answer, that's my last day on Earth. I mean, what the fuck else are you gonna say, you know? If I could witness any event in the past or future, the actual creation of the universe, I think. You know, just to know what actually happened. Like, that would be the thing that I would like to see. I mean, I think I know, but I already want to. I want confirmation. You know, I think it's true though. I think it's true that there was a sort of nothingness that is like incomprehensible, and then there was a point that formed that had something to do with a very base level of consciousness, and the electromagnetic wave somehow emanating from that point. That's what the logos was, right? And then you guys have heard the story a million times, but the universe was kind of generated through this process of replication by reflection, and that continues until it runs out of possibilities, and then it reverses and collapses back into the singularity, and the whole thing starts over again with a tiny bit of variation. So we're doomed to repetition, but it's not completely exactly the same thing over and over again, you know? But most likely, I think we live the same life over and over. not reincarnation, but just the same life, but with little tiny variations. And the one bit of hope we have that it actually gets better is that entrainment always goes upwards. So, you know, if there's something higher pulling it, the process, it should always improve a little bit with every cycle. If I could send a message to the entire world, what would it say in 30 seconds? Damn, man, you want me to come up with something like that off the top of my head? Like, that's the kind of thing that deserves like a lot of thought, you know? Because the problem is that as soon as you, especially with the level of indoctrination and brainwashing that people are exhibiting these days, as soon as you say something that's not consistent with what they want to think or what they've been programmed to think, they will turn you off. So it would have to be really well crafted in order to keep for anyone to listen to it. You know, you'd have to really word everything really, really carefully. And but what would the essence of the message be? You know, you already know the answer to that question. You know, I mean, but the thing is, the problem is, how do you distill all of that into 30 seconds, I guess, you know? Because you know the message of my channel, obviously that's what I would try to tell everyone, is that, you know, if you can align yourself with your real, true, highest purpose to the acts in a way that allows you to express your highest potential, then you don't come into conflict with other people, and your natural course of conduct will likely empower and enrich those in your environment. Otherwise, it's probably not what is natural, because anything in nature has a tendency to come into homeostasis. So if there's dissonance within a system, it's usually unnatural. It's introduced. It's somebody shaking the air for them. So, you know, really in a way, like, right-wing ideology is my enemy. But then again, that's only half true, because there's a lot of consequences of left-wing ideology that also kind of destroy people's brains. You know, but the selfishness tenet of the right wing, kind of like the exclusivity clause in Christianity, also a reason it's a demon. But yeah, I mean, I would try to craft some kind of message that made people really understand that their real purpose here could be achieved to the greatest possible satisfaction of their own soul, while also benefiting everything else in their environment, including the environment. You know, that's how this world is supposed to look. And it's really not that hard to see and understand with a little bit of determination and research. So, I don't know why my nose is so itchy all of a sudden. Volume seems a bit low. Yeah, I don't know. There's something wrong with my speaker. Every time I get a phone call, people can't hear me. Yeah, I used to be better about that. I think I've realized in the last couple of months that one of the problems that I've developed is that I knew that I had achieved a certain level of attainment, I guess, and I got lazy because of that. And I think it actually allowed me to backpedal a lot without realizing it. You know, it's kind of a weird form of ego inflation or something. It's not really that uncommon either, you know. It's something that happens to people. Mike Tyson did it, you know what I mean? Like, he became like a world champion, and then he just started doing cocaine and not training, and then he ended up getting knocked the fuck out, you know? But yeah, I mean, I used to religiously keep dream journals, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that you will, because, I mean, like, one of the main purposes of it is that if you have a precognition in a dream, you know, you will know if you wrote it down that it was real. You don't have to think like, well, did that really happen? So that's huge. And also the dialogue with the subconscious over the years can be a huge thing to, you know, you can see patterns in it. And you also, you know, if you understand that those patterns are repetitive and they're going to repeat, it allows you to predict your own behavior and negate certain things. I mean, there's just so many reasons to write a dream journal for sure. Now we get a few people on, and I've already told the story about the sex worker and the dog, so you guys should go back and watch the beginning, because it really was a pretty miraculous night. Just, you know, it was a huge relief for me after how things went this week. But what was it? Do I ever have weird dreams? Hell yeah, I mean, I have weird dreams. Everyone has weird dreams. So, yeah, why are we getting an audience all of a sudden, man? You guys missed the stories you came for. Sorry. Well, actually, almost none of those people are here anymore. Should I just start at the beginning? Tell these guys it really was miraculous, man. Now we're kind of in an AMA mode, if you guys are interested in that, because I'm just kind of an insomniac right now. And honestly, I don't really want to leave Cusco. I noticed today that I was kind of feeling like, you know, I don't really want to go back, despite the fact that some really bad shit happened here. What's up, May? But yeah, so we're in AMA mode, if anyone is interested in that. What's up? Message retracted. How did you retract the message before you even typed it? Okay, so basically, since there are so many people popping on right now, I will go ahead and start over at the beginning, but I'm going to give you guys the condensed version, and then if you guys want to know the full story, you can go back and watch the live stream later at your leisure. Well, I know someone deleted it, but it's just weird that he managed to delete it before he even posted it, because it just, that's all it ever said is message redacted. So anyways, a couple days ago, I got robbed, right? And that's the purpose of all these live streams lately, partly is to try to encourage my community to help me recoup those losses. So I don't have the ability to put the PayPal and Zelle and everything in it won't let me type in the chat. So if anyone else knows them and they want to do that for me, that would be wonderful. The Blukers at Gmail and the money sign Illuminostic, so it's there and available for those amazing people. So anyways, I got robbed and I had to go to a cheaper hostel. And when I got to the cheaper hostel, after I put my stuff in, I went outside to get some food, and I see this young Venezuelan girl getting kind of manhandled by this tattooed face guy. And actually what I was saying before that was about Illuminostic life there, her ayahuasca trip report, which was about an experience with me that was really amazing, and that's why I was late. So that's the very beginning. But I saw this tattooed face guy, you know, big to manhandling this girl, and I didn't want to get involved, so I just kind of stood there for a minute, and the cops didn't do anything, people didn't do anything. So I went over and kind of got in his face, and he just left. And it shocked the hell out of this girl, who I assumed was his girlfriend. And so, you know, I just was talking to her for a minute, which was really difficult because Venezuelans are like, so fucking rapido. You know, my Spanish has gotten pretty good, but I couldn't understand really a word she was saying. I had to really, and she was really nervous. So I had to keep asking her, just like when she called me tonight, which blew my mind and terrified me for a few minutes until I understood what was happening. So, you know, I talked to her for a few minutes, and she asked for my WhatsApp. Thought she was just grateful, you know, maybe wanted to go have some coffee or something. Maybe that is what happened, now that I know what I know. And then she asked what I was doing here, so I gave her my YouTube information, you know, and later that night, not much later at all actually, I got a picture of my hostel door and the hostel sign where I was staying. So I assumed that she had given it to the, okay, I missed something important. So I said, you know, he's your boyfriend? And she said, no, he's my jefe. And I was like, oh shit. I just got involved in a squabble between, you know, Venezuelan pimp and his girl. Like, you don't want that. The Venezuelans, you know, not trying to generalize about people, but anyone will tell you they're dangerous. You know, you really got to watch out for that. So I was already a little bit nervous after discovering this. So then I go to my hostel maybe an hour, 2 hours later. I get the picture of my door and the sign. And I thought that she gave it to him and that she was like just trying to trap me or I don't know what. But I assumed it was her betraying me. You know, as I was saying earlier in the stream, when I lived in DC as a teenager, I knew a lot of prostitutes. I know how they are, you know, after a little while as being sex trafficked, they kind of get, you know, anyways. So, and there was a message, you know, this is the Jefe, and kind of like reaming me out for getting involved and all this shit. And I was like, I didn't answer. But then tonight I did a stream, and I don't know if it was the one tonight, I think so, or if she saw the one from before, but I was talking about how I thought she set me up. And when I got off the stream tonight, I was leaving the coffee shop, and my phone rings, and I answer it, and there's a thick Venezuelan accent, and I'm like, oh shit, instantly I know who it is. But it's female, so it's not the Jefe, it's the girl. And it was difficult. Like, it took forever because I couldn't understand much. And she was nervous, so I had to keep asking her, you know, hablas más despacio, over and over and over again. You know, yo soy un gringo. Hablas más despacio. And even then, you know, the accent is so terrible. I don't like it either, honestly. There's something like, it's too thick and like chunky. And so eventually I gathered that what she was saying is that because she speaks no English, and I knew that. So I was like, how the hell, what do you mean you watch the stream? And she's like, oh, mi amiga habla inglés. And so traducir, you know, she translated it for me. And she said, you know, I heard you say that you thought I gave him your info, and I didn't mean to. He just went a little bit away and was watching from around the corner. Of course, you know, should have known that. And he saw me type in her phone, so he knew that she had my info. And so that's how he ended up following me and figuring out where I was and all that. Well, I guess it's not. I mean, he did that. But the reason that he sent those threatening images is that he saw me put my shit in her phone. So, sorry, I'm exhausted from the adventures of this week. But, so then she tells me that, you know, she realized that he was actually a coward when she saw the way he reacted to me, and also that he like came and just tried to scare me by taking pictures and sending them to me, but didn't do anything, didn't even try to do anything. That he actually wasn't that scary, and she's like, I'm not afraid of him anymore, so I'm leaving tomorrow. And so hopefully that's true, because that would be an amazing end to the story. And so then I'm, you know, because I'm talking to her and I'm not paying attention. I guess I was talking to her for a while because I looked around and I didn't know where I was anymore, and it didn't look good. So as soon as I have that thought, there's suddenly this like large white, black, and brown dog with a hole in its face. There's blood. So, and he didn't look great. So for a second I was kind of scared, you know, of him, thinking like maybe he's about to attack me or something. And I look around and I realize I've wandered into a, you know, Pueblo Basura, or Pueblo de, I don't know what they call them, crack neighborhoods. And it, you know, it didn't look good. And so this dog is suddenly like, he's just like right beside me. And I start walking with him, and I stop, and he stops and looks back. And I didn't feed him, I didn't pet him yet, I didn't do anything. It made no sense. So he waits for me to start walking again. As soon as I start walking again, he starts moving again. So he goes around the corner, so I go around the corner. And my maps, my Google Maps, it made no sense. I knew it wasn't right. It was telling me that the hostel was like on the other side of Cusco or some bullshit. And it wasn't true, and I knew it. So I follow the dog. And at one point, I heard all these dogs barking in the sewers underground. That was weird. What are they doing in there? Eating rats, probably. And so I'm walking along. Every time I stop to think, like, does this make sense? Like, is this even the right direction? The dog would stop and look back, like, are you coming? And eventually, I kind of got up next to him. And when he wasn't paying attention, because he wouldn't let me pet him at first, I finally petted him, and he just bounded around me, like, all happy, like, oh, we're really friends. So then people started like walking up, and I didn't like the looks of them, and the dog didn't either, and it growled at them. And I was like, what? Really, dude? Really? you know? And every time anyone came up, the dog would show like signs of aggression to keep them away until it brought me to this bridge, and it jumped up and put its feet on the bridge and was looking, and then it looked over at me, and I brought reset my Google Maps, and then it was correct now, and it showed that probably if I had gone down off the bridge and then walked, you know, where you can't drive, because I think the maps was showing where you could drive, that it would have gone straight to my hostel. And the dog was kind of looking at me like, do you want to go take the shortcut or not? You know, and I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. And then after I didn't do anything, the dog's like, all right, and it jumped down off of the thing and kept going, and it brought me right to Plaza de Armas, where all the taxis and people and everything is safe. And when I realized that, where it had taken me, I turned around and looked, it was gone. So for all of you people that just popped on and didn't hear that the first time, that's basically what happened tonight after my stream. So it just blew my mind, man. It was just absolutely crazy. And of course, you know, if the girl, you know, there's a possibility she was trying to set me up. There's a possibility that, you know, that's really the other possibility. Either she sincerely had, I had scared her pimp away, and so she'd realized that he was a punk and wasn't afraid, and it broke the spell. You know, that's amazing and beautiful if that's really true. You know, of course, I have no way of knowing for sure. But sure the hell sounded sincere. But then again, you know, these girls. And in case any of you don't know the story, it wasn't a prostitute. Well, I don't know. She might have been a prostitute, but when I got here the first day, I met a girl, and it wasn't no romantic interest at all, none whatsoever. Like I wouldn't have, you know, 12-pack wouldn't have done it. But she was nice, and you know, I just split up with my partner, so I guess maybe I was a little bit vulnerable, and I hung out with her. Accident. I should have been suspicious. Like, why am I running into this girl every day? You know. And I think now that she must have seen me in the Western Union and knew that I had received some money, and she just waited for an opportunity, and she got that money, most of it. So, and it was the immigration money for my entire family, pretty much. So, and other stuff like rent, and you know, it was really, really bad. So, yeah. This other situation was like right on the heels of that. So it was really nice, you know, just to think that it could be true. And then one of the reasons I believe it is that that dog appeared to like guide me back to town right after I got that phone call. So, and the energy in this place, you know, you almost kind of expect that sort of synchronistic craziness to go down. So yeah, for those of you that heard the story the first time, there was only 8 of us. So I just, you know, when I saw we had 100 people all of a sudden, I felt like I needed to tell it again. Yeah, I know, that's what I thought. That angel dog thing, man, that was really crazy. That was really crazy. I feel bad too, man. I wanted to bring him home with me and not keep him, but I wanted to at least buy him some food or something. Because, you know, he didn't look great. Yeah, this is AMA now too, so you guys can ask me anything, and if I can answer you. If I can shed any light, what up with the Nazca mummies? Where do you all see the UFO UWAP? UWAP. Is that wet ass, unidentified ass pussy? Oh no. Sorry about the bad. Who is that girl's name? That awful song, WAP. UAP. It's even worse than WAP. It's unidentifiable. Well, you know, the UFO thing is very complicated, and the Nazca mummies, I didn't know there were Nazca mummies. There are elongated heads around me right now, though. There are tunnels in the rocks around Cusco. The video I'm about to post in a few days is actually from down in the tunnels where they sometimes still find elongated heads, I guess. There's still plenty of them out there. Apparently a lot of the ruins in Peru are unexcavated. So there's still all kinds of stuff in the ground and around that hasn't been found. all around town. So, you know, I don't know what to think about that. I don't know if the skulls have been tested to whether they have human DNA or not, but that'd be a pretty easy way to go about figuring out what's going on with them. But I'm definitely not an expert on the skulls, but I will say that the Nazca lines in and of themselves are pretty weird, you know. Nobody knows what they are, really, like whether they're mineral or paint or, and, you know, it's a map that can only be seen from outer space. What, you know, I mean, it could be a coincidence that there are lines pointing at the pyramids, directly to the pyramids, to Lake Titicaca, all this significant stuff. But, you know, I don't know what it means. And then the UFO thing, you know, there's so many possibilities that it's really difficult to just pin it down to any one particular thing. You know, I mean, I've had experiences with these sort of translucent beings that everyone that I ran into in this entire town saw that night. So that suggests that it's not an individual hallucination. It'd be a little bit strange to think of it as a collective hallucination, because why would that happen? None of these people had any connection to each other except by me. So, you know, but then the idea that extraterrestrials are coming here from other planets, there's not really anything to gain. I mean, the idea that they'd come here for gold is the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. We've figured out how to transmute mercury into gold in a laboratory 13 years ago or something. So to think that like aliens that are capable of coming across the entire universe don't know how to do it at home and need to come here to get it is just fucking retarded. Plus there's what do you call them, meteors of solid gold that, you know, they're moving fast, but, you know, if you had the kind of technology that could get you here, you could land on one. They're huge, and there's solid gold, some of them, you know, or more or less solid gold. So it makes no sense by any stretch of the imagination that would be. Plus, it's like the heaviest element, right? So what for? It's not happening. There's no reason for it. They can make it at home just like we can. So, you know, it's a difficult thing to imagine, you know, because you really have to go through it reasonably and objectively and try to figure out, you know, I know there's something to it. I mean, I've seen these videos. I don't think they're fake, of the UOP, the WOPs, you know, if you have a projectile that hits water, like if I had a 50 caliber Desert Eagle, fucking most powerful handgun in the world, and we went underwater and I shot it at you from 18 inches away, you could grab the bullet. And these things hit the water at, like, you know, incredibly fast speeds, and they don't even slow down. Like when they go in the water and they come back up. So you can tell by the time it took them to go in and out that they didn't slow down at all when they hit the water while they were underwater. It doesn't make any sense. So, you know, to say that the governments have some kind of technology like that, I guess it's not impossible, but it doesn't seem likely. You know, from the capabilities of some of these UAPs that have been recorded, one of them alone could probably take out the entire United States military without being hit. So if it's true that these things are here, we've already lost. There's no possibility, none, that any government can protect us. You know what I mean? You're done if that's what they're here for. It's a crazy thought. Like if those things are real and they're of non-human origin, which is what the governments now claim, it sounds like, we're already not in control of this planet. Not by a long shot. So, you know, we don't have anything that could hit them. Can't even hit them. You know, it might take them a while, but if you can't even hit them, how are you going to stop them? Sean Bryant, why what? Why what? Why can't we hit them? Have you seen these videos? The speed and maneuverability, there's no way to hit them. I mean, you might get lucky or something, But we have nothing that can move like that. We don't have anything that can move like these things, not even remotely close. The laws of physics are apparently completely irrelevant to them. So, you know, there's just no fucking way in hell that you could stop them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just weird, random, fucking strange man talking about strange things in the middle of the Sacred Valley. Yeah, the shorts feed is a little bit weird. I hope this is in my regular feed as well, because it's really difficult to get like engagement and any kind of, you know, the shorts is just, it's like a TikTok audience almost. You know, they're just like scrambling their fucking brains, not realizing what they're doing. You know, Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead actually was talking about how they did studies on digital music, any digital recording, and that because of the way it's created, where they chop up the recording and then sort of it like rebuilds it when it plays, so it hits your brain in this really jagged like whack it whack it whack it whack it whack, and it actually causes anxiety. So like really all of the music that people listen to these days and MP3s and whatever, it's all bad for your brain to some extent, all of it. And if you think about scrolling through TikTok, it's not, you're not just doing that on the audio level now, you're doing an audio visual, you know. So I would assume that it's probably scrambling your fucking brain even more than the music you're listening to. No, no, no. I'm in a good spot psychologically and emotionally at this point, except for the fact that I have to recoup this money in a matter of days, or I have real big problems. So if that's what you mean, then yeah, I mean, um, but as far as I know, we're still going forward with May. You know, if I got two deposits, it would be enough for me to secure the place and take care of this problem. You know, so if you're serious, just make a deposit and that'll take care of the problem. And don't worry, it's not going to happen again. You know, there was some, okay, a couple of things people have asked that I should address because they're fair questions. One of them was the guy said, I bet this happens to him all the time. Like, really? Really? I've been an outlaw for 44 years. Now I'm an outlier because I don't do anything illegal, you know? So it's a different thing. It just means that I'm kind of on the outskirts of society, but I'm not really an outlaw anymore, right? But if my judgment was bad, I've done 10 months in prison my whole entire career as an outlaw. If I made mistakes and bad judgment calls, I would be dead or in prison. So I don't know what the fuck people are talking about saying that shit. That's just silly, you know. That, you know, this happened to me all the time. Like, and for 6 years of this, traveling around South America, I've been not only not making mistakes, but taking care of a woman that had no income and a toddler and a baby and stuff while doing this. So, you know, the fact that I let my guard down for 20 seconds and something happened, I really don't see where that's coming from. You know, it doesn't seem to line up with, you know, go watch my biographical stuff and get an idea of, you know, like to see the people saying that survive what I've lived through unscathed for the most part. So, you know, and the other thing is people were saying that, you know, don't you think it could have been the cleaners or the staff at the hostel? No, it couldn't have been, because if it could have been, I would have brought it with me, first of all. That's the thing, you know. Somebody said, I thought you were intelligent, and, you know, it's like, well, do you think you're intelligent because you're saying that you misjudged me that badly? You know, no. When the first night I was there, first of all, I've stayed in hostels as I'm traveling around the world for, you know, South America in particular, I guess, for, you know, a lot, with expensive cameras, expensive microphones, expensive computer, iPhone, you know, I mean, there's always been, you know, a few $1,000s in my hostel, just not in cash, you know, and I've never lost anything until this last week. because I split up with my partner and, you know, all this stuff, and I haven't been thinking clearly. I lost a microphone, but it wasn't stolen. Um, so the point that I'm getting at is that the first night I was going out out of the hostel, I had my key in my hand, and the front desk lady said, "Do you want to leave that here? Because we don't have an extra key, so if you take it with you, don't lose it." So I was like, "No," and she's like, "Well, don't lose it, because I'm not kidding. We won't be able to let you back into your room." So I was staying out so late and sleeping late. They were just putting the towels and toilet paper outside of the room. You know, they didn't even knock. So if I thought there was any possibility of that, it wouldn't have been in there. It was the girl. And the other reason I know that is because when we left, she invited me to go to some club, and she just kind of got weird and like made a, you know, weird excuse, and then didn't go. She just left. So that shadiness right there, like, you know, I mean, so no, it wasn't that. Remote viewing. Dude, what are you talking about? It's a video that's been released like by like 3 different militaries around the world. It definitely is real. I mean, it's been on mainstream news and everything. This is not some obscure story that nobody's heard about. So yeah, and another one was the Mexican military. They released the footage of it kind of looks like you know those balls that have electricity in them and you touch them, and and I'm talking a little bit quietly because it's late and I'm in a hostel. I'm almost thinking about going outside where I won't feel so self-conscious about it. What time is it? Yeah, it's 12:30 here. What was I saying? Yeah, so the Mexican military released this video of these things that look like those balls with the electricity, and they're chasing the F-14 fighter jets around. They didn't do anything, but they were chasing them. So, you know, I do believe in government deception and stuff, but I also know that most of the UFO deniers are people that are Christian, or they're people that don't think about where information is coming from. So they, you know, don't realize that it's mostly Christians that are afraid of their obviously ridiculous belief system getting, you know, shattered by having to deal with the fact that they're in an enormous universe full of life. And that doesn't suit their narrow-minded bullshit ideology or whatever, you know. Maybe you're not finding a Metabunk article on it because they can't be debunked. YouTube. Yeah, so just a reminder that we're in the AMA segment. I don't know why I'm so nervous about tomorrow, man. Yeah, I do. I do. I get it now. Every day that I get closer to these deadlines, if I haven't made up, you know, my losses, it's it's progressively scary. And then tomorrow it's 3 days. That's part of it. And then also going to pick up my guitar and having some concerns about whether or not it's really in the shape it should be in. I think that's probably why I don't want to go to sleep, because I have to wake up and then I don't know how things are going to be. So. Are you serious? Oh yeah, I remember. And thanks again, Neil, for all the support. It is critically fucking important at the moment. Tesla coil? What about Tesla coil? What about it? I mean, this is the reality that, you know, there is an electromagnetic field that permeates everything. But I don't know that you can generate as much energy from it as Tesla thought. And I know people say that he had functional, you know, devices, but there's not a lot of evidence for that. and people have not recreated them except on at very small scales. So we're not really completely sure that Tesla wasn't at least a little bit overconfident and maybe a bit off his rocker. I mean, I think he died a virgin and married a pigeon, you know? I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't a limitless supply of energy, but that idea, I think, could be based on a misconception. And that misconception is that energy is like a substance. It's not a substance. It's the ability to do work. And what is doing the work? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's apparently nothing there, you know? You can say it's a charge and it's this and it's that, but a particle is actually more like just a tendency for a certain type of behavior to be exhibited in a certain spot. It's not a substance. And if it is a substance, we don't know what kind of substance it is. So, you know, the idea that you can just suck up or replicate or something, a bunch of energy from nowhere is kind of a little bit, I mean, if it's nothing, I guess, that's doing the work, then I guess so. You know, if the substance that, ironically, the substance that is doing the work is nothingness, then we definitely have an almost infinite supply of that. Yeah, did you guys notice that the eclipse is on Moon Day? Mm-hmm. So, I just realized, like, I don't know what I'm worried about talking late at night in a Peruvian hostel, man. The walls can be rattling until 4 in the morning and they're all gonna sleep through it. I mean, it's just the Peruvian way. Deafening noise. I don't think I can see it from Peru. I'm on the wrong side of the planet, man. Peru is so big that I'm on the other side of the planet from my partner right now. Like, pretty much, you know, it's so bloody fucking huge. It's almost incomprehensible. A lot of different terrain here too, you know, the driest desert on earth is here. But yep, the eclipse is on Moon Day. I'm curious to see, you know, what's going to happen in the United States. Are all the religious nuts going to lose their shit and go crazy and kill everybody? Or, you know, there's a bunch of people expecting a rapture because there's an eclipse happening. Like, man, you know, that person is too stupid to exist, but then they somehow still do, you know. It's incredible to me. Like, what fucking connection is there between, you know, an eclipse and the return of Jesus? It's just too goddamn stupid. And then CERN is firing up tomorrow, so that's the, you know, that's also Satan, I guess. Are you in Canada, Northern Light? Well, I'm excited. Hopefully I actually get my guitar back in reasonably good condition tomorrow. That would be amazing to have a functional guitar again. Luckily, I paid for it before I got robbed. I hope he doesn't want more money, but it took him 3 days instead of 6 hours, so I'm willing to bet he's gonna want more money. Yukon territory. Holy shit, man. That's a hop, skip, and a jump away from Peru, I think. So, yeah, you know, the good is always offset with the bad. I mean, it was nice to hear from the hopefully ex-sex worker today. Very thankful. I would believe it more if she hadn't offered to come by my hospital to reward me for my bravery, because that made me question whether or not it was a trick. But then again, I don't think she really has any reason to do that, because I don't think she would have any trouble making money. I mean, she definitely was not ugly, to put it mildly. Yeah. And then it was nice to get, have the dog come and help me find my way back to civilization. That was crazy. And then I get home and I find Athena from A Luminostic Life. And no, I'm not forming a cult or anything. She's just we're trying to work together to create channels that can be monetized in other people's names and see if we can get around the shadow ban. And it has worked so far, because one of my shorts that only got a few hundred views, I think, well, it might have gotten a few thousand eventually, but when she reposted it on a channel with 57 subs, she got 30,000 views in like 10 days, or no, 5 or something. So being demonetized is worse than not being monetized. Stigma. So check that out. I'm gonna do an interview with her and maybe repost. Oh, there she is. Yeah. So what I was saying is, I got back and I saw her doing that review, or trip report, and it was really helpful, because I didn't know that it had been so meaningful for her. We never talked about it. Sounds like it was really helpful. So it was a nice little combination of, like, save a hooker, rescued by an angel dog, come home and see that I really had a positive impact on somebody. So a little bit of medicine for me to try to feel a little bit better after this shit that went down here. The problem is, though, that these are two different categories. Feel better spiritually and emotionally and psychologically is not going to make my deadline in 3 days or whatever it is. So it's kind of like, I'm glad and honored to have had a positive impact, but I still have to bail water, or sink. I'm not going to tell the story again, man. You're going to have to go back and watch the stream from the beginning, but it was wild tonight. It was really wild. It was way nothing I was expecting. That's definitely true. And when I first got the call from the young girl that I defended from the violent man, I was certain that shit was about to hit the fan. As soon as I heard that Venezuelan accent, I was like, uh-oh, this isn't over. But then she's like, thank you so much for showing me that my Jefe was actually a coward, because now I'm not scared of him and I can leave. So, and she was actually like, yeah, kind of, when I told her she couldn't come to the hostel, and I couldn't do that, she asked if she could come with me, and I was like, no, nope, no, that's not happening either. In another world, in another life, I would have been like, hold on, let me go get a ring from the fucking, I don't care if I have to rob him, man. I'll go get a gun and get a ring and let's get out of here. Oh, man. In another world, in another life, but not in this one. It's the last thing I need, man. To go run off with some 20-year-old Venezuelan prostitute and have some pimp hunt me down a week later, you know what I mean? Nope. Be tempting if I was a lot dumber. What do you mean it went viral tonight? See? We're talking about now viral. If I post it, a couple thousand views, somebody else posted millions of views even with no subscribers. So tell me the algorithm's objective? I'm so sick of hearing that from people, man. Yep. That's good though. Because I knew it would happen. We knew it would happen. That's why we did it. People have been telling me for years this content is way too good to be getting 30 views sometimes and shit. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm saying it's because I tell people to think for themselves. You can question the government as long as you do it like an idiot Republican that's full of conspiracy theories and doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because what they're doing is they're feeding both sides bullshit, and then both sides think they have taken down the man when they're actually saying exactly the thing that the man wants them to say. You know, so those people get big. So people are like, why aren't they shadow banned? Because it's a fucking approved narrative, and the people, they just don't think it is. You know, that's it. So I think the way that I fucked up was by going after every narrative, you know, and saying none of this shit is true. Both sides have lost their minds. You know, you're all being puppeted. You're all parroting propaganda. You know, I mean, why wouldn't you be suspicious of the alternative narratives? Those are the people that they need to delude. It doesn't make any sense. You need to be more suspicious of the alternative narratives than the mainstream narratives. Because those people already don't do anything. They're not going to stop anything. They're not going to think about anything. You know, they don't need to delude them and fucking, you know, send them off the rails on the woo-choo train. One of my favorite parts of your stream tonight, you mean 135,000? Jesus, dude. Well, I'm glad it's working at least. Islam is the right path. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Where's your moderating skills? Luminostic life. Don't be putting that bullshit in my fucking feed, man. God damn, dude. If there's anything worse than Christianity, it's Islam. You know? That's it, though. God damn. It got you lots of new subs? Sweet. Oh, you mean your subs went from 68 to 135. Okay, well, how many views does the video have? Are you safe? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm always fine. I've been safe all this time, except maybe for the few seconds I was in that Venezuelan pimp's face. That was a little bit nerve-wracking, you know. I forget for a second sometimes that I'm not still 25 years old and stronger, and, you know, I'll forget for a second that I'm not, you know, quite as tough as I once was. And I don't think that would stop me, you know, but, you know, I kind of knew, because there were a lot of cops around, that he wasn't going to do anything. And usually people that are assaulting women aren't really that tough anyways, but he looked scary, dude. He had some face tattoos and muscles and gold all over him and stuff, you know. I knew that he was somebody I shouldn't fuck with. But what are you going to do? You know, he's got this 90-pound fucking Venezuelan girl throwing her all around and shit, and it's, you know, women can be mistreated here. That's one bad thing about it. You don't see it as much as in the jungle, but I definitely saw in Pucallpa when I was leaving, this woman was in the street getting the shit smacked out of her, and there was a whole bunch of people around, and nobody's gonna do anything. They're like, well, her man's beating her ass. That's just what happens sometimes, you know. But in this case, you know, the girl was really small, and I just wasn't having it. So, and I didn't know it was a pimp and one of his girls. 37,000. Oh, okay. Well, that's only 7,000 more than the other day. But that's a lot. If you mean that just happened today, the other 7,000. Yeah, it got scary. Like I said, I don't want to keep telling the story over and over again tonight. Although it is true that most of the people that are watching now probably weren't watching the first 2 times. But basically, long story short, I just intervened in what I thought was a domestic problem. And it turned out to be a couple of Venezuelans, and it was a pimp and one of his workers. And he saw me give her my phone number because she asked for it. She also got my YouTube, and he was watching, so he knew. And then he must have followed me because he sent me a picture of my hostel door, which is crazy, that means he was right behind me, and must have caught the door even when I opened it to go in without me noticing, or maybe he waited for someone else to open it, or I don't know, but Picture of my door. Picture of my fucking door. And yeah, that was pretty nerve-wracking. That was pretty fucking nerve-wracking. And with a message, of course. This is the Jefe. I'm the Jefe. You don't tell my girl what to do and to leave me and all this shit. And I did, though. You know, I just told her. You know, I was like, "Es tu novia?" No, es mi jefe. Fucking hell. That's when it hit me. Like I just really stuck my nose in some shit. But what was I gonna do at that point? So I was just like, well, you know, if you figure out your true worth, hopefully you'll just leave him. Don't do this anymore. You know, you're a pretty girl. You can figure something out. And she called me tonight saying she's leaving him because she figured out he was a coward because of the way he dealt with me. And so if that's true, then I guess I really did a good job. And then I got protected by a random spirit dog tonight. That's what. But if you guys want to hear these stories, you got to go back and watch from the beginning. I can't just keep doing this over and over again. That's how the shorts feed is, though. The audience turns over so much. I might as well just like a broken record. It's a good story, you know. It's crazy how things turned out, because it was like a rapid succession of like really good things. You know, the call from the hooker. I don't want to call her that, but the girl. You know. And then the spirit dog, you know, like, it was incredible, you know, that the dog brought me to safety and growled at people that approached me in the ghetto and shit, even though I'd never fed it, I'd never seen it before. So let that be a lesson to you, because it doesn't have anything to do with, you know, people say like a dog is loyal to you because you feed it and shit. This dog literally protected me from anyone that tried to approach me in a bad neighborhood and brought me to a safe place, obviously deliberately. Waited for me, you know, if I stopped, it waited for me and turned around, looked and waited. I mean, I've only had one dog ever treat me like that in my life, and it was this dog that I was like really close to, you know, that would stop and wait and look and brought me all the way to civilization and then disappeared, you know, which was sad because I really wanted to reward it. You know, I didn't really have any money on me, but, you know, I was like, damn, I gotta feed this dog because that was ridiculous. And then he was gone, like out of sight. Split second, just gone. And then I got home and saw Athena's video about the ayahuasca experience with me and how profoundly positive it was. So I'm like, well, this is a fairly good ending to getting robbed. You know, something like a happy ending. So, why can't I type? I really... The AI is choosing what it thinks is a highlight and posting it without your permission. So it got some picture of me making a horrible, horrific face and just posted random, like, and they never make sense. I'm really pissed off that they're doing that, because I don't need like ugly ass, you know, random shots of me as thumbnails and then nonsense jibber jabber that the thing thinks is a highlight. You know, who knows why it thinks that. But I just found another one. It just did it again. I don't know, guys. I cannot believe that it's not possible for me to type in my own chat. Oh, I must have accidentally pushed this highlight button, and then it just posts, I've done it. Shit. Yeah, can somebody type my PayPal and my Zelle and Cash App in there, because I can't do it. I can't believe, you know, I'm doing all these marathon streams trying to like help raise money, and then I keep forgetting to I never forget to put my information in it's not even in the description, I don't think. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's in the description. Okay, so if you want to go to the description and support the channel, because there it is. That's crypto, though. I don't think it likes that. It might delete it. There's the Cash App bloopers. Okay, thank you, Illuminastic Life. You're an excellent moderator, and I should give you a promotion. Maybe let you use my name to start another channel or something. You know what else I've noticed, man? That I've noticed my tone and my body language is increasingly giving off like jaded energy, and I'm trying not to do that, but you know, because I'm not really living like that. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to do good things and still trying to have hope that we can unify the consciousness of the planet and get people to wake up and act right. But it is true that I'm constantly being reminded of the potential that I'm a completely naive idiot and that all this is just lunacy. So, you know, it's like I can hear it in my voice and I can see it in my face, just like getting worn down from butting heads with certain aspects of our reality that are a little bit daunting. But I'm still here, giving blood, keeping faith, covered in ticks and leeches. Swear to God, though, man, Venezuelan Spanish is not even Spanish. It's like just gibberish. I don't know how, whose brain works that fast is the other thing, you know? And it's a weird thing because it proves that that IQ is not the best measure of intelligence because there's different types of intelligence. And I'm not saying that Latin people have a particularly low IQ, they don't, but it's not as high as some other countries. But then again, to talk that fast and to have music that sophisticated, you know, it means that they're, you know, plenty intelligent as these other cultures. Especially the music proves that, you know, that doesn't mean what people think it does because the music is more sophisticated than jazz, some of it, you know. For example, when you're playing whatever the hell that music was in the club the other night, they're basically playing rhythm and lead at the same time with their fingers. So there's like melodies happening in the center of the guitar sometimes while the strings are ringing, and there's chord, like, you know, they're improvising through entire like reharmonizations of chords. But then there's like a melody line that's kind of moving through all these reharmonizations, which is kind of how jazz, but still, it's like the rhythms are weirder and harder, and some of the harmonic and melodic movements are just too weirdly sophisticated. I don't know, you know, there's probably some jazz somewhere that's on that level, but definitely indicates a pretty fucking high level of intelligence when you have 19-year-old kids that have already mastered this shit, you know. I don't see too many gringos running around doing something like that. Yeah, well, I'm still not probably totally in the clear, really. I mean, that's kind of an issue, you know, that I was thinking like maybe I should just stay in Cusco, but I think I probably better get out of here for at least a couple weeks and make sure that the situation doesn't, because now if she really runs off, he's gonna be looking for me maybe. So thinking that if he finds me, he's gonna find her. So, you know, I just hope that if she does go, she really like goes fast and far. It won't be that hard to get away. You know, he's not going to have the technical capability to like track her or care to probably. But it is a little bit, you know, not like I was already stressed out enough, and now I have this like, just got to kind of tomorrow. I just got to get right in a taxi and then, you know, go get the guitar, get right in the Collectivo, and get out of here. Hopefully, I didn't mention to her that I was where I was living exactly. Because, like I said, when I was first interacting with her, I didn't know what was happening. You know, I don't think she was out like working. They were just out because she wasn't really. It wasn't obvious, you know. And then I got to ask myself, if I had known what was going on, would I have not done anything? Is that the mentality that, sex workers don't have the value that a normal girl does? I can't honestly answer if I would have done, if I'd known what was going on, if I would have stayed out of it. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I think you might be understanding something, Neil. I wasn't interested in the hooker in that way. I mean, I honestly just helped her out without knowing, but that's got nothing to do with anything. I'm not interested in hookers. And that's why, like I was saying, I'm not just not interested in hookers, but when I bought the girls roses at the bar the other day, it's because the old lady was not selling any, and I just like, I didn't mean anything by it. I got mobbed by, girls in their mid-20s with like infinite risk factors, and I didn't want anything to do with it. I'm not in that headspace at all. It's not what I'm saying. In fact, you must have missed this part, but she said, can I come by? I'd like to see you after what you did for me. And I was like, no, thank you. You're a very pretty girl, but I can't do that. So that's not at all what I was saying. If that's what you were thinking, that I was like considering any kind of interaction with her of any kind. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, that's why, not just like if I thought I wouldn't want to sleep with her, but if I thought she just wanted to come and give me a hug or something, if I wasn't afraid that it was a trap, I would allow that. But there's definitely a possibility that it's a trap. It's definitely possible. I don't have such a thing as a real name. I'm not sure what that means, but pretty sure people have used my real name many times on this channel, and it's not hard to find it. I mean, I'm not hiding from anything. I've definitely been doxxed many, many times. So what are you gonna do in this day and age? It's not really possible to hide from anything or anyone. Yeah, well, again, like I said, definitely planning on getting out of here tomorrow. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I'm aware of that. Like I said, I just hope it's true, what she said. Because she was really young. It looked to me like she showed me the pictures of her before. She sent them to me. I have them in my phone. She sent me pictures of her when she first got here versus now. And it looked like she was maybe 17 or 18 in the pictures. They were 2 years old. She's like 20 or 21 now. And she doesn't look older, but she looks hard compared to, those younger pictures. She looked sweet and just normal and innocent. And now she looks hardened, So I hope that it wasn't a trap and that she actually was sincere. The thing is, like, the way she was talking about him and stuff, it didn't sound like it was a trap. I think she really, even just the way those guys are, I think if he had been there, like, coaching her or something, I don't know if he would have even been able to tell him you think I'm a coward now. I can't see that happening. I don't know his name, dude. He just called himself the Jefe. How would I know? I don't know his name. I don't know her name. She told me, but I couldn't understand her. The Venezuelan accent thing, dude. I can't, it's really hard. That was a really difficult conversation, but I thought it might be meaningful, so I was determined to work my way through it. And, so I was just walking and like listening, and that's how I ended up just wandering off into you know, and I didn't think it mattered that much because I thought I would just Google Maps and then I would just get back on track and go, you know. But then the Google Maps was wrong. Almost like the universe did that just so I would have the experience with the dog, you know. I'm still really sad that that dog got away before I could like pet it or like more. Yeah, I did pet him, but get him food or anything. You know, looked starving. He was bleeding. And I was like, man, this dog just helped me for no reason. He helped me for no reason. I didn't give him anything, and then he just disappeared before I could even reward him. H. Yeah, people have called me H over the years, for sure. Usually girlfriends. I don't know why they do that. But I've had a couple of girlfriends that just called me by the first letter of my name. I don't know why. H. So, I wish we'd had that information in the chat when we had 100 people in here, but yeah, people call me Har. Girls have called me Har. My mom used to call me Har. I hate that. Honestly, I hate it. I hated it when she did it, and now I hate it because she did it. Really. Yeah, it's a rough thing to have the kind of relationship that I had with my mom, you know. I didn't even know, you know. I didn't even know that it was so bad until I was probably in my 20s before I had any friends that had like normal relationships with their mom, and I would watch them interact with them, and I'm like, wow, what the fuck? You know, it was really crazy to me. There was no warmth or anything in my household, none at all. You know, and then I started seeing like normal people with their moms, and I was like, wow, that's nothing like nothing like my relationship with my mom at all, you know. Neil, are you telling me you don't know my name? That's pretty wild. It's crazy to think though that because, you know, I thought it was a normal girl, that pimp could be watching this video right now. Because I gave her the YouTube link, you know. I don't think so though. I don't think either one of them spoke a word of English. It's Harley. Yes, I have heard about. I have heard about Ruby Frank and Jody Hildebrandt, but I don't recall who they are right now. But those names are familiar for sure. By the way, you guys, don't forget to hit the like button, share, subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon where you can access 4 years of secret, invaluable occult information. And I'm going to start doing Discord calls with people because I think having an interactive thing would be a lot more interesting even than the secret streams. Allow people to ask questions and kind of set it up like a class. You know, sort of. And then also, like, I've kind of stopped talking political shit on YouTube because I went broke because of it. Largely, you know, that was a really, really hurt me in 2020. And I didn't stop. And it took me years to finally get it through my head that I really just can't afford to do that. Because of an algorithm punishing me and people getting mad and canceling their Patreon and stuff. But that really bothers me, honestly, because I don't want to have to cater to anything. You know, and it would be really good actually if what I'm working on now is if I can get through this most current disaster. I'm really trying to make my income less dependent upon YouTube, so I don't have to care so much, you know, because I would rather have a small unified audience, then yeah, I mean, if it was any smaller though, it wouldn't exist. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. But the reason that I like the political stuff is that it allows me really to elucidate a lot of the psychological warfare that's going on. And in order to do it properly, I have to take out both sides. You know, there's no other fair way to do it, and there's no other way to really illustrate the extent of it, you know, and the psychological dissonance that people have to maintain in order to stay in one side or the other of the political paradigm. So, yeah, it's funny that people seem to like the glasses. I was really on the fence about them. But now I'm starting to think maybe I look like a dragonfly or something, which is fine, I guess. Let's see, everyone on here, let's support Harley by sending some money. Yeah, yeah, that would be good, man. Because now I'm worried too, because I didn't realize that, okay, I have this deadline, but I also have to get a plane ticket and go to Lima. So I think I have even less time than I thought. Oh, no, it's only an hour flight, so I probably can get that done at, you know, but I have to get to the embassy before it closes. So yeah, I'm still hanging by the skin of my teeth for sure due to this incident. And I have been brainstorming. Again, you guys, you know, year-long packages are 30% off for the next 3 to 4 days, until this goal is either met or um, it's too late. And then I don't know what. That'll be an interesting scenario. Yep, increasingly irritated with my partner. It was nice of her to show up in the stream tonight, but I'm also getting pretty irritated that she's not leaving yet from that place, which is not a good place to be, and I have already paid them to do it. So, quite a lot. Pretty annoying, because what'll happen is eventually the money will run out because they'll be using it to buy food and stuff. So, I don't know what's going on there. I don't like it. I'd like to see my son. So, start to piss me off. And guess what? The only way I can fix it is to pay for it. That's just the way it is. Let's see, what time is it? 1:12. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can't sleep, so I just hope I'm not getting on anyone's nerves. Do you think we have free will? Man, that is a tough one. Because there are a lot of elements that working against that. Quantum physics is a little bit problematic. Okay, maybe I'm getting tired. It's a little bit problematic, but it's not entirely conclusive. But then we also have the fact that up to 98% of what we do is supposedly motivated by the subconscious entirely or controlled entirely by it. So, you know, if you consider all the factors that go into governing our behavior in terms of the cog in a machine kind of effect of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, or general relativity, I mean, and then the psychological aspect of it, it's not looking so good for free will. Also, there's this weird thing where we actually do, like, you move your hand, and then a split second later, your brain decides to move your hand. So that's not good. That doesn't imply that we have free will. So the thing about it is that there is chaos in the system. So, I think we do have free will, but not entirely. It's probably 50-50, just like everything else in a dualistic universe. You know, for example, if you do an experiment in quantum mechanics, with quantum particles, a trillion times, which you can do because they can be done. You're counting it with a quantum clock, so you can divide. You're doing it in tiny increments of time, like billionths of a second. So you can do these experiments many, many, many times, and one time out of however many billions, you'll get a different result. So that's the chaos in the system, and also an expression, I think, of the fact that one of the rules, the absolute rules of creation, is that there's an exception to every rule. So that's why we get these tiny micro variations on the quantum scale. But it implies that there are hiccups in the system. So I guess the short answer is that yes, we have free will, but it's limited. It's very limited. This guy is always on. Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I need to get back on. That's facts. All right, Neil, man, thank you for all the support. You are a tremendous blessing and a king of the Illuminati. Illuminastic life, Athena is definitely the current queen of the Illuminati community. She has become almost like my right-hand girl, man, or something. I was really impressed. If you're still on here tonight, I was really impressed with your ability to describe these psychedelic experiences. And from the way that you were acting that night, I couldn't really tell. I was worried maybe you were like a little bit too far over the line. And my objective always is to put people right on that line, where even a little bit more would be too much. And then any less is not enough. There's a target, very exact target. I'm pretty good at intuiting where that is for people most of the time. Really only one case where this guy who we'll call Lumpy, which is funny because he lost it, and I guess I don't know if he like put his mouth on a bullet ant or something, or if he actually smashed his face into a chonta palm hard enough to make his lips swell that much. I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. I think he must have put his mouth on the chonta palm right where bullet ant was, and he was just, it was crazy because he was huge, and his girlfriend was not that big, and she drank 3 times as much, and he lost it. And the night before, it was kind of the other way around. He drank more and was fine, and then she had a little bit and almost lost it. And it was the same bottle. It just doesn't work like that with the medicine. It's just no matter what you do, there's an element of roulette. Yeah, he definitely went off the rails for a little while. And the funny thing about that is that on his way to the retreat, he signed up for this chess game online, and he gave himself the nickname Lumpy. And then when I saw his lip later, I nicknamed him Lumpy. So what are the chances? And I was like, why did you nickname yourself that? He's like, dude, literally on the way here for no reason. And then you started calling me Lumpy last night. And by the time he told me that, I called him Lumpy like 50 times. So, it was his new name. It still is his new name. What is he talking about? How's that sugar booger? I don't know why. I think it's like every time somebody notices that I have congested nose, is it because I'm in Peru or what? I don't know, man. I don't do cocaine anymore. It's been a lot of years. I'm not saying I would never do it again either, but at the moment. I have no interest in that. It was funny, earlier I was walking by some drug dealers, um, leaning up against the wall down the street, and the guy was like, "Hey, Gringo," and I was like, "No," and he's like, "What?" Like in English perfectly, and shocked as hell. You know, like, really? Like, what are you doing with your long hair, sunglasses on at night? You know what I mean? You don't want cocaine? Like, he was shocked. Chunky Boy Dinner? That's a terrible name. Those of you that came here for the stories in the title, you gotta go back to the beginning because I've told them all 3 times now. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, and you know the other thing is the reason I can't do anything about my runny nose. There's no fucking toilet paper in the bathroom here. I've been literally blowing my nose in a plastic bag and it's gross. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. So, well, anyways, guys, I think I finally am. I hear Luna is nice. Lima is nice. No, you don't. I don't know. I've never been to like the nice downtown parts. I was only in Lima for like long enough to get a bus out of there. It was terrible. I hated it. It was hot, deserty. People were not super friendly, and it looked like it could get bad pretty easy. You know. So no. But it might be like, downtown and like the historic district or whatever. It might be cool. But anyways, it is 1 fucking 30 in the morning and I'm exhausted. So please wish me luck tomorrow. Wish me luck recouping the losses from the robbery. Contribute even if you want. And hopefully my guitar is actually fixed tomorrow, because if anything else goes wrong, I'm you can't have that. So let's hope it all goes well, and I will see you guys for a music stream if the guitar is working, hopefully in the next day or two. So cheers, everyone. Thank you for spending this time with me. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon or, you know, anything